feed the viewers on a Sunday morning. Well, hello viewers, mornings or afternoon, another beautiful day. Hope your five senses work, health and strength is good or excellent. Yep. Now, what do we got here? Let's see, FS4 game list expands 65 titles, 28 new this week. OCD had one where they said, had another article where they said AMD FSR support expands to 57 and more are coming. But this one from video cards is a little bit better. But anyway, what did they add here? Based on the 57 to 60, what's this, 65 list? Let's see what it says here. One might have thought that FSR4 adoption would be quicker, but 3 months since the RDNA 4 series was announced, there are only 40 games on the official list. Unlike FSR3, the FSR4 technology does not require direct game developer support. It says the only official requirement is prior support for FSR3 or direct integration of FSR4 SDK. In other words, the games that's already supported FSR3 will now also support FSR4, but whether it works on individual system depends on the user hardware and what equally important drivers. Says this week AMD released 2 drivers. One is the official branch called the Adrenaline 25.6.1, a Whql release. The most users should install. However, the gamers already own the Radeon RX 9000 series GPU can also check the latest FSR technical preview, which according to AMD is based on the same branch but expand FSR4 support to more games. And then it says I compile a list of all the official supported FSR games and include which drivers is required for each title. There are now 65 games on the list with 28 new games that requires either the stable or preview driver. So what do we have here? What we got on the list here? We got the ones that's new is a Quiet Place, A Road Ahead FSR4 technical preview, Ark Survival Ascend FSR4 technical preview, but they already had Assassin's Creed, Bellwright, and then Blades of Fire's FSR4 technical preview, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. By the way, Black Ops 7 is coming out this year. I just watched the Xbox showcase. Call of Duty Warzone, Creatures of Ava, 9 is Dead Zone Rogue 25.6.1 driver. That's new. Dragonkin The Banished FSR4 technical preview. That's new. But then you have Dynasty Warrior Origins, Enotria, The Last Song, Everspace 2, and then F125 for the Whql 25.6.1 driver. That's new. It says you have Fort Solace, Fragpunk, and then Frostpunk for the 25.6.1 driver. Whql is new. And then you have Funko Fusion, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, Hunt Showdown 1869, Incursion Red River, Influx Redux, and then you have Inzoi, that's FSR4 technical preview, that's new. Then Kingdom Come Deliverance, Cristela, and then Legacy, Steel and Sorcery for the 25.6.1 driver, Lords of the Fallen, FSR4 technical preview, Marvel Rivals, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man Remaster, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, MechWarrior 5 Clan, Nakira Blade Point, Nightingale, and then Ninja Gaiden 2 Black for FSR4 technical preview, No More Ruin Hell 2, Panacore, and then you have Planetaries for FSR4 technical preview, and then Predator, Hunting Grounds, and then Kwanga, FSR4 technical preview. Then you have Ratchet and Clank, and then you have Rem Survivor FSR4 technical preview, and then Remnant, and then Roadcraft FSR4 technical preview, and then RuneScape Dragon Wild FSR4 technical preview. Those are in bold. Whenever I say technical preview or the 25.6.1, those are in bold letters, so that means they're new. And then you have Stalker 2, Hearts of Chronobeat, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, and then you have Silent Hill 2 FSR4 technical preview. Then you have Smite 2. Then you have Star Wars Outlaw FSR4 technical preview, and those are new. Then you have Steel Seed FSR4 technical preview. Then you have Stellar Blade 25.6.1 driver, and then you have the those are new. Then you have the Axis Unseen Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remasters, the finals, Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us Part 2, and then you have Until Dawn. Then you have Virtual Fighter 5 Revo Bubble Start FSR4 technical preview. Then you have Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, and then Wild Assault FSR4 technical preview. Now, it says here, of course, we remind you that FSR4 requires a Radeon RX 9000 GPU. This technology only works on RX 9070 XT, 9070 RX 9070 GRE, and the newly widely released RX 9060 XT graphics card. FSR4 does not work on the RX 7000 series or older GPU. It should. I don't know why. What is AMD's problem? Then it says nor does it works on the latest RDNA 3.5 integrated graphics, such as our Radeon 8000S series using Strix Halo. AMD should be taking advantage of that with the FSR4. You know, I'm just saying it should work for RDNA 2, 3, 4, and all those GPUs, man. Don't leave any of them out. But anyway, unfortunately, it says AMD provides no update about adding FSR4. Unfortunately, AMD provides no update about adding FSR4 support to older architecture during ComputeX, and nothing suggests this will change anytime soon. And instead, AMD announced FSR Redstone, which is an upgraded version still only planned for RDNA 4 plus GPUs. They need to take care of that, I'm just saying. But anyway, it says you can download the latest driver here, and the official branch driver here. If you're not playing games instead under the preview driver, it is still recommended to stick with the official branch. The preview driver has no additional changes to fixes beyond expanded FSR4 support. And then it says, let me see here, let's see here, what we got, 40 comments, what we talk here, someone said, Sunshine said this, they expanded to RX 7000, they should expand to RX 7000, facts, and they need to expand it to RDNA 2, 3, you know what I'm saying, stop playing around, but I agree with him though. And then EL said this, he said, literally different architecture, why they ray tracing doesn't such anymore. And then Andre said this, we need a cost-efficient RDNA 4 APU, but of course AMD is waiting for NVIDIA N1 SoC to eat their lunch, like Apple did with laptops. They will release it 2 years late. And then who is this? Arvtech said this, Apple is not moving in any direction in laptop market. They have managed to stay stagnant at 7 to 8% of the market share. That's it. That's their base, and they haven't done anything interesting with their device to gain new market. AMD APUs have gained market share in recent quarters as more consumers are buying laptops, tablets, and mini PCs with those chips. I am not sure that it is that you're banging about here. He says next architecture will release with new GPU anyways, regardless of NVIDIA, new adventures on ARMS. And then it says Connor said this, Well, my current go-to games are American Truck Simulator, X4 Foundation, 7 Days to Die, Elite and Dangerous, No Man's Sky, and Last Epoch. And they said, of course, none of them support FSR4. Well, AMD will take care of that, I'm just saying. But anyway, and then Nicholas said this. He said, that's good. That's good. Still not enough, because a lot of those are irrelevant games. They need way more games and new titles that people want to play. I hope they manage at least 100 games by the end of the year, at least, and most of the important titles as well. I really hope they manage to have FSR4 with GTA 6 on day one. They might do that, And then Show said this: Can you explain what you meant by irrelevant game? Like, most of the games on the list are highly demanded by gamers. Again, GTA 6 will come with PSSR on day one, as it's console exclusive, so no FSR4 possible. And then Stroud said this: Did someone had an issue with washed or gamma saturated graphics while gaming? Recently, during play, one game froze and I had to restart. Now all game experience gamma saturation, while desktop and browser work as well. Also, this an SFC scan now can't fix corruption in files. This miss stuck at 62.3%. Alright, maybe AMD will look into that too. And then Frey said this: sound like an HDR issue. Turn HDR on or off in Windows / on the monitor. And then Stroud came back and said, found it. RTX Dynamics Vibrance. Alt F3 press and you will see a bunch of filter options. I probably accidentally activated. Gemini helped me solve this after I provided screenshots. And then the hung man said this: does AMD selectively choose what Xbox / PlayStation games gets FSR as well? Good question. And then EL said this: AMD makes both, so it's easier for their partners. And then Evo said this: I know FSR 3.1 works on Linux / Bazite, but does FSR 4 works? I'm currently playing Monster Hunter Wilds on Bazite with a 9070, but I can't tell if it's FSR 4 or FSR 3. And then Crosshair said this: Is there a reason why FSR 4 don't work on RDNA 3.5? I thought these mobile APUs have improved AI cores, or FSR 4 should have been backwards compatible with FSR 3, and also with FSR 3. That way, older hardwares can take advantage of it. And then Voice of Logic said this: AMD need to push more on this. The FSR 4 list must grow, or at least push FSR 3.1 version and whitelist the games on the driver, so both RDNA 4s and no RDNA 4 user can experience upscaling. And then Open Standard said this: yes, but a lot of developers are in NVIDIA's pocket and aren't allowed to update FSR. And then Voice of Logic said this: yeah, we don't have proof of that, TBH, but it needs to be done. AMD needs to push more FSR 4 or FSR 3.1. And then who is this? Proster Chen said this: good to see AMD expand FSR 4 support. And then Max said this: insane that a benchmark like Cyberpunk 2077 still doesn't have FSR 4 support. Yeah, AMD, step your game up. Your FSR 4 needs to be working with RDNA 2 GPUs, 3s, and 3.1. He says, and then Primey said this: I wouldn't surprise me if NVIDIA had some sort of deal in place that stopped developers from updating competing software like FSR, because Cyberpunk 2077 seems to be the go-to game for NVIDIA to show off new GPU software and tech. And then Vex said this, NVIDIA says no. Voice of Logic, and it says, and Dying Light 2, which is constantly updated, still has FSR 2. And then who was this? Cap said this. So Capitan said this. I did prefer them to expand crashless drivers for 9070 XT being able to handle Cyberpunk 2077 with path tracing on. And then Voice of Logic says, I'm using a 9070 XT and I don't have crashes. As for Cyberpunk 2077, which card plays great on PT except for 50 series, I mean. And then he has a tech power up link review. And then Chrissy said this, not really. The 9070 XT actually is powerful enough to handle path tracing. Max out with full path tracing at 1440p FSR4 balance via optical scaler. It averaged over above 60 FPS bumps FSR down to performance, kind of indistinguishable to me from native. That's in parentheses. And he says, and you get low to mid 70s. It will definitely get better with FSR Redstone neural caching and regeneration. The only problem are the frequent crashes and terrible denosers. And who is this? Voice of Logic said, I haven't got any crashes. Are the crashes related to Cyberpunk 2077? And then Chrissy says, I'm pretty sure they're entirely related to the game. Yeah, personally my Gigabyte 9070 XT has been crashing a ton with path tracing enabled, hence making me move to a RT plus path tracing mod. Plus AMD themselves mentioned crashing in the drivers at known issues specifically for Cyberpunk. And then Voice of Logic say, I see. And who is this? Eric says, there should be some kind of version for non-9000 series cause FSR3 can't say the other can't even say the other words. And then Andre said this, I remember how many games were trashing NVIDIA for wasting silicon on tensor cores that were useless for gaming. Now gamers are angry for tensor core software. It's not running on AMD GPUs without tensor cores. And then Vex said this, them stunking 9070 sales I've gave AMD a kick to get FSR4 widely adopted. Good to see. And then he says, I want the RX 9070 XT, not with MSRP plus 250 bucks. And who is this? Elegant said this, hilarious. And when people point out just how slow little FSR support is, Radeon fanboy is going to point out, just use the third-party mod upscaler. And he started laughing. And then who is this? Like said this, why is it hilarious? Do you want one option forever? You don't actually need a free market for that. Yeah. And last comment here. And then who is this? Doodoo said this, because upscalers is not a real option for all consumers, more like a workaround. You need to know upscalers not officially but by AMD. Less people know and how to use it, and many titles still don't work properly. That's why AMD fast adoption of FSR4 is needed. So more people have access to games with FSR4 delivered by AMD too. Good. Alright, those are all the comments. Look, AMD needs to bring FSR4 to RDNA 2, RDNA 3. No, bring FSR4 to RDNA 2, RDNA 3 into the older older graphics cards, like within the RDNA 2, RDNA 3 generations, They need to do that, man. Seize that. When you come out with your upscaling text, and even with Redstone, that needs to be applied to all portable PCs, laptop and desktop, and then take it and then carry on from there. But this list here, they said 65 titles, 28 are news. The ones that were in bold, bold letters, highlighted, those are the new ones with the technical preview or 25.6.1. But the rest were already there. So AMD should be supporting RDNA 2, 3. With FSR. With FSR4, because those hardwares, they need it. And Redstone should be doing the same. Take advantage. Don't leave any hardware behind. And just keep pushing, and then go on from there. But I'm sure the modding community will find some kind of way. I'm sure they'll try to find some kind of way to make it work. Try to get FSR4 to work with RDNA 2 and 3. They'll probably try to find some kind of way. So yeah, and if they do that, then it might give AMD the incentive to follow that up with an update, so those hardware can benefit from FSR4. So you don't leave your older GPU behind just because you come out with new tech. Nah. Anyway, but far as what they said in the comment about what's this? See if I can find it here. Who is this? Who is it? And they need to improve, and they probably need to improve on the tensor cores too. That's another thing. So we'll see what AMD do for the rest of the year, but they need to bring FSR4 to the older hardware. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy though. Nice talking to you people again. Crystal, Star Wars, Star Trek fan, Borg, Dark Side. Come on. Peace.